Hey, what's going on, good people? Welcome back to yet another episode of Baddest Chaplain. Today we're here with the good brother Mike Sales talking about his very new, very exciting, very dope book, Disturbing the Peace. Mike, what's going on with you, bro?
I'm good, man. Good. Excited to have this conversation with you for sure.
Oh, no, feelings mutual for sure, man, for sure. So, Disturbing the Peace, amazing title, but it's more than that. It's a particular way of moving through the world and
Yeah.
having the energy. Talk to us a bit about that moment or that conversation that convinced you that this graphic novel needed to happen.
Yeah. I remember very, very distinctly. I was working honestly on a whole nother story, right? Creative people, sometimes things come in a song or this, that. I had an image that popped in my head
Mhm.
that started this. So I had this image of the main character. She didn't even have a name at the time, but it was like 1990s New York City B girl. She's standing there and she's got on like this bubble goose jacket with the furry hood and the jeans and this t-shirt that has the word gully across front and like some Air Jordans. But then in her hand, she has like a staff, like Daredevil staff, like a superhero staff,
Yeah, yeah.
and these hoop earrings, and she's standing like she's getting ready to fight, like a
Come
superhero.
on. Yes.
But she's dressed like she's getting ready to go to like the tunnel in New York City, right?
That's a good callback.
Right. So like I had that image just came to me, and then a whole like monologue of her came right with it. And it was like, again, like I'm getting ready to go out. I'm supposed to be going to the club. I'm supposed to be hanging out, having fun. But instead I gotta go out here and patrol these alleys and take care of these kids.
Yeah.
Every day I'm sitting asking myself, why am I doing this? And it then it comes back to me. I'm doing this because I'm just trying to make my mama proud.
Come on.
All that came just like that, right?
Yeah.
So then, like, I'm not an artist, but I had the image so vividly. I like made the image as best I could and put it on a flyer. And I was at a comic book convention selling my other comic, but I had that page printed on the back of the other comic. Everybody kept asking me about that image, like, "Yo, what is this story?" Blah blah. And at the time, I was like, "Yeah, I had this image of this woman that's a single mom and a superhero. She's a young B girl, and this is a thing." And it was like, "Yo, you need to do something with that." So that's where that came
Yeah.
from, right? It came like in it's normally I get like whole like I get settings more than characters, but in this case, this person just popped up
Yeah.
so clear and vivid, and I was able to quickly depict it and show it to people, and I got a response. I was like, "I'll do something with it. It's
You
got
got to.
I got to. I got to."
And I commend you for using that image because I feel like creatives get so much inspiration that goes to the waste, right? Like you
Yeah,
can have like a dope idea in the
yeah,
shower at 1 a.m. while you are
yeah,
asleep and, oh, well,
yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah,
wake up and remember
yeah,
it's gonna
yeah,
be gone, but you
yeah,
actually used it. So
yeah.
I salute you for that.
Well, so this one, it almost felt like there was a sense of urgency around it because it was so clear. But then, okay, so sometimes you're right. Like you get a glimpse of something, but the rest of it don't connect.
Right.
Half of the stuff that you read in Disturbing the Peace right now, it's a long graphic novel. It's like 150 pages, right?
Dope.
Half of it came just like that.
Come on.
Like all the characters, like most of the characters that you see in the story came right after that. Cause what I realized getting that image first was like a plug straight into my lived experience that I could pull on easy. So like it was like a door into like, yo, this is basically like a stylized version of the 90s DC that you encounter just with some superheroes. So you know these people already.
Yeah.
You know her. You know this person, you know that person. So it was really one of the easiest things I ever wrote because it was so
Come
clear.
on. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was so the people were so clear. Obviously, the plot and all that you still got to pull in, but the
100%.
people, and the way my stories are, they start with people and places. They don't start with like they don't start with powers.
Right, right, right.
They start with people and places. So once I got the people and places, it was good.
You took off.
Yeah, it took off.
Talk to us about, like, the visuals, like, as you
Yeah,
imagine this, like, you talked
yeah,
about Sis having the staff and, like,
yeah,
the
yeah,
door knockers and everything,
yeah,
like, talk about, like, the color palette that
yeah,
jumps out to you that really
yeah,
makes you convey the emotional weight of the scene.
yeah. So again, my stories start with people and places, and I have to back up a little bit because a lot of what you see in Disturbing the Peace comes from being a young adult man in the 1990s in DC, New York. I'm from Georgia, but I went to college up there. And so being exposed to hip hop as it's coming of age in that area gave me a whole different aesthetic, right?
Yeah.
Think about how much stuff up there is concrete. Think
Come
about how
on.
much is gray, how much is
Yes.
brick, right?
Yes.
So if there was something about in me was like, if you're going to convey the gray, the concrete, the grit, use gray, use
Yeah.
grayscale, use black and white, use texture. Think about the text. Just look around in New York and you just see layers and layers of concrete. There's a texture there,
Of
right?
course.
So then also because I grew up reading manga, they use a lot of black and white.
Yes, they do. That's
So
right.
they're able to convey emotion and setting with black and white, right?
Mhm.
The last thing is I also grew up reading Milestone comics
Uh-huh.
out of DC. And then there was this comic book called Brother Man that came out of Philly that I also read. All of them were giving me like the creative schooling and the confidence to say like you can use gray textured colors to convey like this gritty emotional range
Mhm.
that's different than what you're seeing in Marvel, which is bright and colorful and all of that stuff.
Right,
Like,
right.
no, we trying to portray this era, this space, this time. You can use this stuff. So I got those influences from the manga, from the milestone, from the brother man, from just living there. And then it just became easy to connect that color scheme, that palette with the story that I was trying to
Mhm.
tell, which was basically a stylized version of 1990s tri-state with some supernatural science fiction stuff thrown in the middle of it.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
I'm here for that. I'm here for that. And as you're talking about like the color palette, it also makes me think about the way in which, you're talking about the music, and of course hip hop is a huge part of like the musical scene that's in those areas. I think about how the music of that region and of that time often feels like the season of winter, right? It
yes,
feels cold. You
yes,
listen to like a Mob Deep
yes,
album, it doesn't feel like
yes,
summer music.
yes,
It feels like
yes,
winter, like the day
yes.
ends at 4 o'clock.
Absolutely. Yeah, so think about that. Like even think about a beat that hits hard, right? It feels like when you hear a Mobb Deep beat, it feels like getting hit in the winter.
Yes,
You know what I'm saying? It feel like
yes,
getting slapped in the winter, not the
right.
summer, slapped in the winter.
Winter, right.
The snare of a Mobb Deep beat feels like getting slapped in the winter, right?
Yes,
So then if you're me and you again remember I have the setting in my mind already. And I'm trying to think, how do I visually depict that?
yeah,
In some ways, also, if you think about those boom bap Mobb Deep beat, they're very stark.
yes,
There's like very spare beats.
yes,
It's
yes,
almost like they suck the extra out of
right.
so you can just get the essence. All right. Visually, my thing with the grayscale, you sucking all the extra out, and it's just the essence. You can get very
Yeah,
dark with the
right.
grays and crush them or whatever, and you can use the texture. But in the end, the easiest way to put it is like if I'm using color to portray a hip hop song, that's what it's gonna look like.
Yeah, that
That's what it's gonna
minimalist
look like.
approach.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what it's gonna
Yeah,
look like.
no, heard, heard, heard. Talk to me a bit about, as you're dealing with the accuracy of it, and obviously there's a lot to celebrate, but a lot that was really difficult during that
Absolutely.
during that time
Yeah,
period.
yeah.
How do you balance that sense of, I wanna tell the story
Yep.
accurately,
Yes.
and this burden of like, I represent everything,
Yeah.
with also the sense of like, I need this to have some sort of universal appeal. This needs to be a
Yep.
compelling human story too.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a great question. I will tell you the truth. I wrestled with that a lot at the
Yeah.
beginning, right? Even with the cover, and I'll tell you a story.
Mm.
The first time I went to convention, this okay, rewind. That cover is a typical comic book superhero cover. Good guy, bad guy coming together,
Yeah.
clashing, yelling, duh, all that stuff. Like
Right.
that's a no. That's what a if you go to any comic book store right now, that's what a cover looks like,
For
right?
sure.
However, my good guy is a black woman.
Mhm.
My bad guy looks like a black man.
Yeah.
I was at a convention and a guy looked at that my I had it on like a display. He was like, "I'll never buy a comic book like that."
Ooh.
He's like, "I will never buy," for 2 reasons. 1, he was like, "I will never buy a comic book about a single mom." And 2, he was like, "I will never buy a comic book showing people fighting like that. Black men, black women fighting like that,"
Back
right?
right.
So it dawned on me what you're talking about. On one hand, I'm representing us.
Huh?
On the other hand, I'm being honest about my story,
Sure, sure.
right? There's a tension there. So this is what I had to settle on. At the core of it is 2 things. I gotta tell a good story first.
Yeah,
Godfather is considered one of the best films in American cinema.
for sure.
Italian Americans are killing each other left and right in that movie.
Yeah.
There's a balance you gotta strike.
Mhm.
So what I came to is I gotta tell a compelling story, but I also have to maintain the dignity and self-respect of everybody that's in there,
Yeah, yeah, of course.
right? So you cannot tell a comic book story without people fighting each other.
Yeah, it's true.
It
It's
just
true.
it just
Very
can't,
true.
right? Now, so I had to get comfortable with there's gonna be violence because it's a comic book story.
Right.
There's gonna be my story is set in a black world. So it's gonna be people of color fighting each other because it's a comic book story set in a black world. There's heroes, there's
Right.
villains, right? Here was the one thing I held myself accountable to though. As a black man writing a story about a black woman who's a protagonist, I have to critique my own sexism
Yes.
to make sure
Yes.
my sexism does not creep into the depiction of this character.
Absolutely.
So I hired a black female editor
Excellent.
to edit my and hold me accountable. She said, like, hey, when you're depicting this young girl as a teenager, do not over sexualize her. She said that straight up
100%.
and down, right?
100%.
Um, it was constant. Be careful, blah blah. There were. I don't want to spoil the story, but there
Yeah.
were choices that Nefertiti made in that story
Yeah.
that the editor was uncomfortable with, and she said, "You need to make sure this makes sense in the context of your story." And I was like, "Okay."
Mhm.
And it came to heroes do dumb things all the time to help
All the
other
time.
people.
Yeah.
Heroes do things all the time that put themselves and others at risk. And so that still comes back, but it's a tension.
Right.
I'm writing a story about a superhero first. So there's going to be triggering things for people who aren't used to reading superheroes that'll be like, a regular woman wouldn't do this. You're absolutely right, because this is not a regular woman.
That's fair.
This is a superhero.
Yeah.
But and the last thing I'll say is when people tell me that, I don't rebut their opinion. I don't negate their experience. I
No.
say, I hear you. Here's where I'm coming from. I'm trying to write a good story. I'll be honest. I'm trying to write a good story before I write a positive story.
Say more about that because I feel and I love that you said it because I feel like particularly with like Christian media,
Yes.
they are
Yes.
so much more interested in the opposite.
But like, okay. This is how I was able to get comfortable with that. Have you read the Bible though?
Right, dude. Couldn't put it on HBO. Couldn't
Can
put the Book
you
of Judges on HBO. Right.
couldn't put Judges, couldn't put Genesis,
No.
like couldn't put no story about David, real David story. You can't.
Nah, you can't put that on
So my
TV.
point is that I was uncomfortable with it at first too, because I
Yeah.
was very aware of like, you have this platform, you're
Mhm.
writing this unique story, you're
Mhm.
depicting black women, you know how people are about taking one negative black thing and blowing it up.
Yeah,
You're
100%.
depicting urban America, like all the things. Basically, do
Right.
all the things they used to say about hip hop in the '90s.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
still
yeah.
true. Like, but at some point, it's like, imagine the writers of the Bible saying, like, we really don't want to make Peter look bad.
That's right. That's right.
That's what makes the story dope. It's because this dude sold Jesus out, and then Jesus came back and was like, I still. Do you see what I'm saying? We really don't want to make David look bad. We imagine Jewish people saying like, this is we're writing about David,
Mm.
our like iconic
The greatest king, right.
king. we can't put some of these episodes in there because it's gonna make us look bad.
Yeah, yeah, it's real.
That's not the we're trying to write truth,
Yeah, we're trying to write the truth.
right? So I respect people who say some of the things that maybe in this story go too far, but in the end,
Mhm.
I think every writer has the responsibility to write truth first.
Mhm, mhm. And I think that's really, really important, and I love going back to your earlier point. I think it's incumbent upon everyone based on their social location to fight actively whatever prejudice we have in the world, right? So I think
Yeah,
especially as men to say, "I'm going to, like, perpetually wrestle with my misogyny. I'm not just
correct.
gonna assume that I've eradicated it. No, let
No,
me bring in a system that
no,
makes sure I'm doing this right."
no,
I appreciate you doing that.
no. You have to do it because nobody black in America should assume they're clean of that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
You can't.
You cannot. You
No.
cannot. No, it's just it's in the oxygen. It's all over us. Like, how could we say like, "Oh no, I'm immune to that"? No, like let's check ourselves too. You know?
I embrace, especially if it's a black woman coming up to me, I embrace whatever they got to say. I gotta listen to
Yeah,
it.
you
I
got
gotta
a whole
listen to it.
space.
Yeah.
Absolute. How are you with Nefertiti intentionally subverting the tropes of what
Yes.
people think hero is supposed to be. Because
Yes.
you think about the ways in which people lose their minds. Like we got the Odyssey coming out this year, and Helena Troy
Yeah.
is gonna be played by Lupita, and they're
Yeah.
losing it, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
think about like with the choices you've made about
Correct.
Nefertiti, how are you turning that on its head?
Yeah. So a couple ways. So again, remember the original image. Okay. So I purposefully, once I said this is going to be set in kind of blue collar around the way setting,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
that's how I grew up. So I know what a woman would look like.
yeah.
Don't look like Wonder Woman.
Right, 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 right.
Not gonna look like Wonder Woman.
Nah,
That's okay, right?
yeah.
So again, I think for me, it was just trying to ground it in my truth and being comfortable with knowing Nefertiti is brown skin,
Uh-huh.
she tall, she thick, she's strong, she athletic. She does not wear a costume per se.
Yeah.
So that's the other piece. Beyond the physicality of her, I was also trying to subvert the idea of what heroism looks like.
Okay.
The average superhero that comes into your neighborhood dresses in a way that sets themselves apart.
Yeah, that's right.
I have a cape.
Right.
A cape is a symbolic vestment of royalty.
Yes.
I'm coming into around regular people with a royal vestment on. What am I
Mhm.
saying about myself and who I am as a hero?
Right.
I'm sending my hero just like y'all.
Yeah.
I'm making a point to subvert the idea that heroism comes from up there or out there.
Yeah, got you, got
It
you.
comes from round here. It looks
Yeah,
like you look.
right.
And if I do gotta go fight, Imma put on the clothes you would put on to go fight with.
Mhm.
Imma get some brass knuckles because that's what we
Yeah,
fight with. Do you know what I'm saying?
right.
Imma get some a Velcro vest, you know?
Yeah.
Imma get regular stuff. I'm not gonna go get no super gadgetry and all of that stuff and a
Right.
$1,000,000 plane because we don't have that.
I don't
So
have it.
so I'm in some ways I'm using the physical appearance to not just subvert the idea of what proper feminists should look like or
Yeah,
what proper feminism looks like,
right.
which has constantly been a thing. The idea that white European standards for feminine beauty are the standard.
Yeah.
No, I worked with my artist and I made sure I depicted somebody that was not that. So
Mhm.
I'm purposely trying to subvert that. But
Yeah.
then I'm also trying to subvert the idea about what a hero looks like and where a hero comes from.
Yeah, love that.
Heroes are not royal. Essentially, dude, when you study the history of comic books and stuff, heroes are basically gods,
Of course.
right? I am subverting the idea that a superhero is a god. No,
Yeah.
a superhero is your big mama, is your grandmama, is your uncle, is you.
Yeah, yeah.
You a superhero. The
That's
clothes you wear are superhero clothes.
yeah.
So that's what that's about.
No, I love that. 'Cause that really does change the sort of like view of inspiration to like not only ground level, but the mirror.
Correct.
Yeah, I love that.
Correct.
I love that.
Correct.
How do you think, with all the focus we've placed on the 90s, how much do you think, this decade has been super active as well?
Yeah.
These ain't no slouch, you know what I
No
mean?
slouch at all. No slouch at all. Yeah, yeah.
So how much of this landscape, particularly with the focus on social justice, how much do you think that has crept into this project?
So it's in this project a lot. I think it's probably not, you probably couldn't look at it apples to apples.
Yeah, okay.
Right. So there is no like George Floyd incident, or there
Right,
is no
right, right.
Trayvon Martin incident, right?
Uh,
It's more like the normal ingredients that are always in the Black experience are in
mhm,
this one too. If the
mhm.
Black experience is a cake, no
Yeah,
matter what year you eat a cake, it's gonna have some baking powder, some baking soda, blah blah. It's gonna have all that in the cake.
real.
It's gonna be different time, right? Um, black crim- Black people struggling with the idea of being criminals, Black people struggling with incarceration,
Right.
Black parenting, always wrestling with the idea of how safe is my child,
Mhm,
the idea of what do I owe the community
mhm.
when we're under threat,
Right, right.
how much do I keep for myself? So Nefertiti, in theory, in general, she just takes care of the kids in her community. Like
Mhm.
if you were to say like, what does she do as a superhero? I make sure the kids in my community are all right.
Right.
But she's got a kid. So at
Yeah.
what point do you have to draw a line on how much you go take care of them kids? Because you gotta
Right,
take care of your own kid.
right.
Okay. Every Black parent since the first slave had the first kid had to ask that question,
Yeah.
right? One of the main characters is incarcerated. They still got to figure out, how do I contribute to the safety of these children, to the community? How do I help with the caper? Even though as a Black man, I'm constrained by this system. That is, that is every generation of Black people gonna have to wrestle with that stuff, right?
Mhm.
So for me, it's like the other I will say this though, and I wrestle with this a lot because my world is centered in a Black world with Black people. The gaze is focused inward.
Yeah.
It's not focused on racism. There is no race talk per se.
Got you.
It is the same way when Black people just sitting around watching the game, we know racism is real. We ain't talking about racism, but it's still real.
Yeah, yeah.
My story is that way in the sense that like when bad things happen, it's inferred the way it always is with Black people that this is probably some racist that got this situation popped off.
Got you, got you.
But the story itself is more the everyday human struggles against these systems that we're born into that I feel like are universal. Somebody today sitting around looking at political corruption,
Uh-huh.
it's not, you wouldn't overtly be able to see that in there. It's more like not the political policy that happened. Okay, so it's like you live in Baltimore in the 90s. Clearly some political policy happened that made your city whack.
Oh, yeah.
But if you live in Baltimore, you're just dealing with the outcomes of the policy, not the actual
Right.
policy itself.
Right,
That's
right.
the way this story is relevant in that way.
No, I get you. I get you. Because at first when you described it, Mike, I was thinking that sounded like Afrofuturism, but it's just really like Afro-realism in a lot of ways. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's realism. Yeah, no, it's
yeah,
Afro realism.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Good stuff.
I don't. And I would, here's the thing, dude. Like, I actually struggle with it sometimes because I know one of the real tools we use to cope is imagine a future
Of course.
for ourselves, right? Another way that we cope, and this is probably more reflected in my writing, is looking inward,
Yeah,
surrounding ourselves inward,
yeah,
right? And putting our attention somewhere else.
right. So thinking about like that inward perspective,
Yep.
how does spirituality,
Yep.
particularly your spiritual practice, like inform this text?
Yeah. So it's funny that you say that. So obviously a practicing Christian, but I also practice yoga,
Okay.
right? And one of the principles that we do in yoga is this idea of, we call it dristi. And so it means when you're going through a practice or a flow or struggling, or you're struggling through one part of the practice, you find something out on the horizon to focus your attention on.
Okay.
And so as you draw your attention away from the thing that's bothering you toward this other point, it helps. reorient you to the point to where the struggle feels different.
Yeah, yeah,
Over
yeah.
time, the struggle don't even feel like struggle anymore,
Right.
right? So that practice of like inward looking and shifting your focus away from the thing
Hmm.
is why partially Disturbing the Peace is black everywhere.
Yeah.
Like it's a we're black people in a black space with black with the struggles that come from just being in there.
Yeah.
Again, you could not read my book and even be aware that this is a city that's like New York. So like New York, there are white people, but you could
Yeah.
not read my book and even know that there are white people in this city
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because it's the Lower East Side in the 90s, right? It's
Right.
Bushwick in the 90s, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
that, right? So the spiritual practice of focusing inward and putting my focus on whatever I want to, regardless of whether or not I think that's where the problem comes from, is why my book is centered the way it is. That's number one. The other piece, obviously, the Christian kind of spiritual practice of like redemptive suffering,
Mhm.
or the idea of addressing suffering. I don't want to say redemptive because some people get uncomfortable with the idea of redemptive suffering, right?
People got big problems with it. People fight over
Right.
that.
Which is why I'm shifting that and saying just like
You're like, "I want no
addressing
smoke."
suffering. Yeah, yeah, because people get it's right. Well, no. Let me be fair. Sometimes, even with black people, we get stuck with this thing of redemptive suffering, almost like
Oh,
we
yeah.
supposed to suffer, right? So
Yeah, yeah, sure.
yeah. So I don't want to put it like that, but like just the the idea of like suffering is part of human experience,
It is.
like that. Let's say it like that. So
Yeah.
then it becomes for me it shaped this book because every great story I know about a hero, they have to suffer. Luke Skywalker had to get his hand cut off,
That's right.
right? You know what I'm saying? Superman, Lex Luthor got to pull the kryptonite out on him.
That's right.
You know, like you can't be no hero if you don't overcome no struggle, right?
That's it.
So then you pull in the Christian aspect of it. One part of it is the idea of, okay, who are you suffering for,
There it is.
right? So my story, Nefertiti, is clearly saying, I'm willing to suffer for these children in my neighborhood.
Right, right.
I'm willing to suffer, obviously, for my child, but then also I'm expanding that willingness out to the children in this neighborhood.
No doubt.
And so, even if that means I have to break rules to take care of them, I'll do it. Jesus, you're not supposed to touch that leper. That's against the rule. Jesus, you're not supposed to heal on the Sabbath. That's against the rules.
Come on.
Jesus, you're not supposed to talk to this lady at the well. That's against the rules.
Come on.
There's a point when you say, I'm willing to expand what I do to alleviate suffering over here, even if it's against the rules,
Come on.
even if it costs me something.
Yes.
Shapes. So that's how it shapes the actions of my protagonist.
Right.
It's that Christian idea that you're willing to suffer on behalf of somebody else and break rules in order to do it, and you don't care. That's why Nefertiti acts the way she acts.
Yeah, yeah. I'm with that. I'm with that. So, thinking about you and your work,
Yeah,
do you view the creation of this as a spiritual discipline for you? Does it feel like
yeah,
this sort of like, we talked about this sort of inspiration where you could see Nefertiti even before
yeah,
you knew her name. How
yes.
much of this feels like it's feeding your own spiritual journey?
It really is, dude. Like there was points I used to laugh when I talk with my wife about this. I felt like Jonah sometimes because I was running away from this story for a while
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because there was a point when it was like getting like it took me the good part of like from beginning to like publishing it last March, 15 years to get this thing completely done.
Yeah.
Right? There were points, dude, when I was like, I just want this story to go away. I just want to
Mhm.
go and do my corporate career and do the thing and forget about the story.
Yeah.
It wouldn't leave me alone. Like I would be laying up in the bed thinking
Come
about
on.
when and then you have to and I have a lot of stories in my head, but the ones that don't leave me alone,
Yeah.
Those are ones that are like, this is God's like, I'm not gonna let you rest until you tell this story.
Yeah.
So this was one of those. This was like, you don't get the rest until you tell this story. Not just for the people who are gonna read the story, but for the level of spiritual development you have to go through to get to the point where you put this out.
Absolutely.
Like I had to grow spiritually. The amount of faith I had to develop
Mhm.
to put this thing out after all this time,
Right.
when I've really only seen one other comic book story that I know of that's popular about a black single mom, I
Ooh.
put it out anyway because this was
Yeah.
a story that came to me that just wouldn't go away.
Right.
It was just like this was definitely a spiritual thing, and that is separate from whatever commercial success it has. That's what's key.
Yeah.
Like the I count it as a spiritual growth and a spiritual blessing and a spiritual win. I knew it was that before I put it out and knew that it would sell out the first time.
Right, right, right.
It was already clear, like, this is a spiritual this
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
there's probably some other story I've written other stories that were just, like, because I like to write,
No
but
doubt.
this one, it was spiritual.
Yeah.
Also, because of, uh because of the type of story that it is, and okay, let me say it this way. I grew up listening to a ton of hip hop, right?
No doubt.
Mm. They were talking about Nefertiti all in that music that I was listening
Absolutely.
to, but not in a good way.
Yeah, that's true too.
Okay, so the spiritual part of this story goes to Mike as the person who ingested all of these bad
Mhm.
ideas about Nefertiti,
Sure.
now having an opportunity to rework that in a more truthful way
Yeah.
and in a more redemptive way
Right.
to tell her real story.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get you.
It's like the way the Lord takes some how to um take a bad thing and turn to a good thing, or my grandmother used to call it a messy blessing. So it's like something
Ooh, messy
ugly,
blessing.
something that started out ugly that the Lord used to turn into something positive.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, this story was spiritual to me in that way, in the sense that all of the misogyny and sexism that was heaped on the character Nefertiti
Yeah.
in hip hop,
Yeah.
as a person who participated in it,
Right. Right.
that listened to it, that bought it, that said it,
Yeah.
the Lord working through me to tell this story starts a process of redeeming that stuff
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
through this talent that the Lord had and gave me, and through this story that the Lord just would not let me not tell.
Yeah, yeah. Here for it. Yeah, because it's a way in which that's often how I've seen redemption actually work.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
In the sense that it's often people who, I mean, you just even use like the biblical example of someone like Paul. Like
Correct.
Paul was going so hard in this direction,
Correct.
has this, road to Damascus moment,
Correct.
and then takes the same amount of effort that he was doing to destroy to now
Correct.
construct. So in that
Correct.
same way that you were participating in the culture, you're
Correct.
now in the culture still, but using this device as a redemptive tool.
In some ways, it could only be somebody who had been that bad to make it that good.
That's what I'm saying.
Like it could only be like, again, think about that again, dude. Think about the image, the original image that I told you that came to me, right?
Right, right.
If that was a rap video in the 90s,
Man.
she would have been in a bikini,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
everything would have been hanging out. She would
Right.
have been the hero.
No.
She would have been standing behind some rapper,
Just an
all this
object.
stuff. Yeah, she would have just been an object, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I can't even claim that I created that image
That's real too.
because my experience would not have positioned her like that. My
Yeah,
experience
yeah.
at that time would not have made her the hero of no story.
Right.
So that's what I mean by spiritual. Like, this is an opportunity. God got in the middle of this and taught me how to take that negative thing that I was given and turn it into something that's a little more positive.
I'm definitely with you on that, man. Yeah, and in that same vein, when you talk about disturbing the peace,
Yeah,
it makes me think about the way in which the piece you're talking about is actually a false piece.
correct.
So what is that false piece that you're trying to disrupt with your art?
Yeah, so if you look at okay, so if you look at the cover of my comic, that cover is based off the Roots album Things Fall Apart.
Yes, yes,
Think about that
masterpiece.
image, right? Right, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now go back to like so and everybody, all of us been here. You had a step show, concerts,
Mhm.
rap, then something happened, go crazy. Everybody start riffing and running all over the place,
Yeah, yeah,
all over that, right? Okay. The false piece is the idea that if that show never happened, everything would have been
for sure,
that's not
for sure.
that's a false piece.
Right.
The real piece is the justice that Nefertiti is fighting for. So
Yeah.
this is what I mean. Sometimes you have to create disturbances to get to peace.
Yeah, I agree.
Sometimes peace is not, well, just not, let's not have a rap show. Peace is, no, we got to fight these evil things, these evil images, these evil ideologies in our music in
Right.
order to get the peace. And if people don't like it and if it causes disruption, it is what it is.
Yeah.
It essentially, the false pieces don't fight because you'll cause all this chaos.
Yeah.
The true piece is you got to fight for justice, even if it causes chaos,
Mhm, mhm.
right? Like, so that's the tension built into that title
Yeah,
and also built into that image.
yeah.
Because you can look at that image and be like, look at all these people in the background, all this stuff that's going on in the background. She should have just never fought and let this thing go on. So I'll rewind. That scene that you're seeing on the cover is from their version of Summer Jam in the story.
Oh, I got you, got
Right,
you.
so in the story, they have a summer jam too, and the summer jam is basically celebrating a truce that has been declared. So every year they have a
Great.
summer jam, they celebrate this truce, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But what happens when people start acting up in the summer jam and somebody got to get them right?
Yeah,
It spills out into the crowd. So that scene is depicting that, but in a larger sense, it's depicting, are you willing to fight for justice even if it causes disruption in the short term?
yeah.
That's what the question is. There's a story in the Hindu text that asks the same question. There's this great fighter named Arjuna who's
Mhm.
been asked to go fight a war, and the god in that story, Arjuna don't want to fight because Arjuna's like, I'm the greatest warrior here. If I go fight, I'm gonna kill people I love.
Ye
So the god, his chariot driver, he was like, yeah, but what happened if you don't do nothing? You want to keep your hands clean and say
Right.
you being moral, but if you the best person don't go fight for justice, then what's gonna happen?
Yeah, yeah.
It parallels the question that I asked at the end of the first book, the first chapter, when the girl asked Nefertiti, Nefertiti's like, if I go to save this girl on the other side of town, it's like the truth says, if you're a superhero in Brooklyn, stay in Brooklyn.
Yeah,
Superhero in Queens, you stay in Queens.
yeah,
Long as you stay in your borough, we good.
yeah, for
Don't
sure.
you cannot come over here though.
Right.
If you're in Brooklyn, you can't come in Queens. In the story, one of Nefertiti's, one of the girls in her neighborhood get in some trouble in Queens.
Yeah.
And so she's wrestling with, if I go in Queens, they told me not to come over there. They're gonna come back over here and it's gonna be chaos. It's gonna be beef.
Yeah, it's gonna be an issue.
So her best friend says, okay, what's gonna happen to her if you don't go get her?
Mhm.
That's how the first chapter ends. What's gonna happen? You I know what the rules say,
Right.
but what's gonna happen to that girl if you don't break the rule?
Yeah.
So that's what Disturbing the Peace is really wrestling with.
Mhm, mhm.
How much peace are you willing to disturb to do the right thing?
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I want you to think about 20 years from now,
Yes.
and there's a kid who picks up your book in the library.
Yes.
What is that one truth you hope they take away about being a Black creator in this time?
If I had to just do one, it would be, don't look outside of your world for heroism.
Mhm.
Your story, you can tell your own story. You don't need nobody else to come tell you your own story.
Right.
You don't need no other. Your world is a world where your story starts. right? Like, when I was a kid, I hadn't been exposed at the time to black superheroes and all of that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I grew up reading Tolkien and
Mhm.
C.S. Lewis and all of them. So I knew I wanted to write heroic stories. It was not until the 90s, I told you, when I got exposed to hip hop and Milestone and all that, when creatively I gave myself permission
Yeah.
to say, like, no, my heroes can come from my world.
Mhm.
I don't got to go to somebody else's world to find my heroes.
No, not at all.
So they gave me permission to go all the way back to Columbus and all the way back to them people who were my real heroes,
Yeah.
the same way everybody else does.
Mhm.
Same way Stan Lee and all of them did.
Come on, right.
If Stan Lee can go back to his old neighborhood and tell a story, if Jack Kirby can think about guys he knew in the war to make Captain America, I
Right.
can go back to Columbus and make heroes from people I grew up with.
No question.
That's what I would want. 20 years from now, that's what I would want a young kid who wants to be a creator to know. You can go in your own world. You want to change the world, start on your corner.
Yeah.
Start where you at. Look around to the people that you see now. Those are the heroes that you need to create from.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. I love that. You know, we've been talking a lot about hip hop, and I just want you to think about a song that
Yep.
really fits where you find yourself in this stage of life. Like, what's like if you could play
Yeah.
almost like you were scoring the film of your life and you had
Yeah.
to score this scene, what song would you pick?
Regrets from Reasonable Doubt.
You
Used
had
to
that one
hold
ready.
me, told me that I was the best. Everything in this world I want, I could possess. All that made me want was all that I could get. In order to survive, gotta learn to live with regrets. The reason I love that song is because there's a tension in it.
Yeah, of course.
I want it all, but I gotta live with the regrets of what it took to get it. Right? Like um the and when we're talking about stage of life, I'm keeping it narrow to like this comic book and me as an artist and a
Yeah, yeah,
creator
no doubt.
and
No,
all that stuff, right? Coming off of this, how long it took me to write this, everything it took to make it and all of that, the journey I've been on,
yeah.
I come away from this looking like I could write anything up on them stands,
Mhm.
right? Like I believe um everything I want was all that I could get. Like that's
Mhm.
how I feel about writing now.
Right.
I could The regret though is damn it took so long.
Ooh, yeah, 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 yeah.
Damn, eh, I wish I had gotten permission before the 90s. I wish I had grown up with it.
Right,
Do you know what I'm saying?
right.
Um, so that's I got but I gotta live with so go back to the spiritual part and the God part. I
Yeah,
gotta live with this is the path that God put me on. This is the journey that God put me on.
absolute.
This is the timetable that God put me on.
Right.
Um, it is what it is. To your point, Paul ain't Paul if he wasn't Saul first.
That's all I'm saying.
Do you know what I'm saying? Peter don't start no church if he don't gotta live with the fact that he betrayed Jesus and everybody knew it
3 times.
3
Right.
times. He gotta live with that.
Yeah,
You see what I'm saying?
yeah,
So for me, the tension is having to know, like, I want it all, but gotta live with everything it took to get here
yeah.
to be able to do it.
I love that. I love that. I'm so excited for people to read Disturbing the Peace.
Yeah.
Where do you want us to get it? Where do you want us to go?
Go my Threads account,
Okay.
Mike Sales on Thread. There's a link there to get it. I don't know if you have post notes and things after your podcast. I put a link
Absolutely
there
drop
too.
that. I could drop that there.
Yeah, I'm selling it direct to the customers from Gumroad.
Okay.
But you can come to Threads to get it. You can come here to get it. Go to my Instagram account and get it. I'm
Cool.
selling it primarily off social media right now.
Perfect, perfect. I love it. This is the digital getting it out the trunk. You know what I
Out the
mean?
trunk, bro. I'm brick by what do you say? Brick by brick.
Brick by brick.
This is
Exactly
digitally
it.
getting it out the trunk. Yeah, for
That's it.
sure, for sure. But
That's
like I
it.
still here's the thing, dude. I still kind of like this state of things that I feel the creative freedom that I have to
Oh,
tell stories the way I want to tell it, right?
that's it. That's the
Yeah.
key. That's
Yeah,
the key.
like
No
like
strings.
you watch people career, you see how the music changed when they went from out the trunk to on the label, in the
Yeah.
stadium, it ain't the same.
Not the same, man. It's
Yeah,
not the
yeah,
same
yeah.
at all,
Yeah,
at all. But definitely we'll post the link in the episode description. And also you'll be able to access this episode on baddestchaplain.com where we'll have
awesome.
the links posted there as well. But you know, for all of you who are watching this, sincerely, it's important for us to support the creatives and independent writers like this. I'm really excited to see the audience continue to grow with this, man. I'm excited to see the adventures Nefertiti's going to find herself in.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you so much.
Likewise, likewise. And I just want to thank you all so much for watching. As aforementioned, this is on baddestchaplain.com, but we're also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Um, we've been doing this on Twitch, you know what I mean? Trying to get folks to pop out for the live, but also on LinkedIn, Facebook, any and everywhere where you get podcasts. But until next time, be blessed, take care, and be kind to somebody today, for sure.
Beautiful. Thank you, brother.
Peace. Anytime, anytime.